Hello Ashcroft students, here is the second instalment of your exam revision for the music industry, and our starting field of the music industry that we have begun our journey with is in the recording studio, and we have already done a video on a studio producer. This next second video is on being a session musician, so we will look at what a session musician does. We will have a look at where and how they might work with other people in the music industry, and then we will look at how they get paid and what it can lead on to. So, a session musician. It will come up in the exam quite a lot because it is it's a role that's very popular in the music industry. There are a lot of musicians that are session musicians, and so a session musician. You see these a lot on telly, you hear them a lot when you listen to music, but no one really knows who they are by name. These are the musicians that play live with artists and bands, and these are the musicians that play with artists and bands on their music, on their recorded music. So session musicians are people that play instruments. They are people that go on tour with artists, and they are people that will be asked to come and play on a recording. So imagine that I am an artist, very lucky me, I have a record deal, yay, and I have been asked to go and play all the way around the country. However, my songs have drums in them, and I don't have a drummer. So I would need a session musician drummer, someone who I knew could not only play the things that I wanted them to play, but also be reliable to come on tour, turn up to the show every night, do a great job of playing, and be someone that they could rely on. Obviously, our session musicians are those musicians that play on recordings and play live in front of thousands of people. They need to be very good at what they do. They need to be able to play a variety of different music. There's no good being a session musician, and if you're just into jazz music and you just play jazz music, you're not going to get a lot of work, because that means that you are only a session musician for one kind of style of music, and that doesn't really happen a lot. As a session musician, you could be booked to play guitar, if you're a guitar session musician, on a heavy metal song, but then on your next project you may be asked to go and play guitar with an orchestra or in any kind of style of music. And so it's very important that not only do you enjoy different types of music, but that you can play in different styles, and that you can do that quite well. Session musicians usually need to be able to read music. In most cases they need to be able to read music, and they also need to be extremely skilled and experienced on their instrument. Most session musicians have gone to university and studied music performance, or it may be that they haven't done that, but they are just incredibly skilled and incredibly experienced. So we've said that session musicians, they go on tour and they work in the recording studio. In the recording studio, if I am recording an album and I am a singer and I have no musicians to play the music for me to sing my songs over, a studio producer may be the one who books in the session musicians, and these session musicians will come into the studio, they will learn the music, they will record their part, and then they will be given their check and told to go on their way, unless the manager or the artist goes, hold on a minute, I really like that session musician, I like the work that they've done, and so I would like them to come on tour with me, or I'd like them to appear on another recording. And so the world of a session musician does rely a lot on recognition. It relies a lot on you being able to leave a good impression of yourself, because maybe that studio producer asks you back to take part in another session, and that's how you start earning more money. Is reputation, being very good, reliable musician, turns up on time, does the job, and doesn't need lots and lots of practice. If you weren't a very good or well rehearsed musician, and maybe if you weren't very good at being able to read music, then it would take longer for you in the recording studio to be able to record your part. Recording studios are very, very, very expensive places, and so the more time it takes for you to be able to come in and learn your part and get it recorded, the more money it's going to cost, and so it wouldn't be a good idea to hire a studio session musician that needs a lot of practice. So, session musicians, extremely good musicians, well rehearsed, well experienced, very, very skilled on their instrument. They go on tour with artists and bands, but they also go into the recording studio by artists and bands. They get paid per job that they do. So if they've been asked to go on tour with a band, then they will be paid to go on tour on that tour with that particular band. When the tour's over, that's it. They don't have any work until the next job comes up. Same for as if they go into a recording studio. If they've been asked to play on an album and that album studio session is over, that's it until they get more work. And so it's not a full-time job. You do rely on getting work regularly, and in order to get work regularly, you need to be good at your job. Okay, next thing. Final thing to remember about a session musician is the other people in the music industry that they work with. They work with the studio producer, who's in charge of the recording session, as we learnt in our last video. They are in talks all the time with the artist or the band that they're playing music with. They would be trying to find out where certain bits change and how that happens. And then the manager of the artist as well. Okay, that's about enough in terms of studio session musician. Hopefully you've learned quite a few important parts of being a session musician and how that works. And we're going to move on to our third and final role in the recording studio in our next video, which is going to be a sound technician / sound engineer. So I'll see you for that next video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.